Good morning, warriors. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you guys are on your plan. Hope you had a great weekend. We're back. Been a busy time of the year with Christmas season and holidays. Hope you guys are enjoying things and staying on your purpose. Obviously, a temptation with food, all kinds of stuff going on. It's not an easy thing to kind of keep on your purpose, but keep doing it. Keep going. We're going well. We just got to keep it up and fight every single day. And so we'll talk about that a little bit here. First, please go ahead and subscribe and donate and leave comments. I appreciate all of those. And I think we're going to do another one. I'm looking at Napoleon. I think we're going to do Napoleon in a couple minutes. But let's talk about one of these that I was in a conversation with, and we'll talk about this from the sense of, as we always do, our foundation, which is kind of our retention. But let's focus on the idea of that to keep battling on, though you might be hurt. And I had a friend that is going through a tough time with alcohol, and it is a very difficult time. I've had lots of friends who've had problems with many types of addictions. And the addiction part of it is the tough part of it, because a lot of times people, as in this case, don't realize that they have the addiction. And when you have an addiction, you can't really stop it. You think, well, I can stop this anytime I want. And you find out that you can't really do that. When push comes to shove, all of a sudden you go back to it. And you fall back into the pattern because you've built a habit on continuing to do this. And this is where you have to kind of stop. And you have to realize that you have an issue. Now, certainly, there's places you can go with alcoholism, like AA and things like that, and rehab centers and things like that. But the idea, guys, is that you have to be able to, at some point, take control of yourself. Now, all these type of things bring problems. And if you're not strong enough, and this goes back to the weakening of males, in this case we're talking about males, that they're not strong enough to fight these type of battles. Now, how do you start fighting these battles? Well, you go back to the foundation. How in the world can you fight any sort of addiction? I don't care if it's a drug addiction or maybe an alcohol addiction, things like that, if you're not fully 100%, or you don't have all your nutrients or your energy. And a lot of people don't think about it this way. But when you're retaining and you're on your journey, you're keeping all your energy inside of you, which means you're almost at 100%. It's almost like a glass, that's 90% full. As you're going through, and every time you release energy, well, your number goes down. Now, it will pick up again after a certain period of time when you start getting your energy back little by little. But the idea, guys, is that you'll never fully get back to where you should be if you're releasing. And some people who release multiple times a day, they're behind the 8 ball, because now they're weakened. Now they're about 50% or 40% of what they should be. And it's no wonder then you get caught up in getting sick, with colds and different types of things, especially in the time frame we are right now. Or you're at the point where you're weakened, so you get caught into more addictions. And it could be overeating, it could be getting lack of sleep. All these things play into it. And then you get the depression. So let's look at alcohol, for instance, because that's what my friend is struggling with right now. And, they're young people, 20-some years old, 23, 24 years old. And, they party. A lot of the young people between 20 and 25, 30. And I was this age, when I was saying when I was that age, they think they're invulnerable, right? But you find out that you can't control the behaviors because they become an addiction. And when they become an addiction, it's much more harder to say, no, I'm not going to do this. This is why it's crucial, and I wish that I had followed this advice when I was younger, is to start your retention journey when you're younger. Because now you're able to control those behaviors, and your testosterone, everything is going to be a lot stronger when you're 25 years old than when you're like my age at 60, at 61 moving to 60, at 60 moving to 61. When you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, I need to continue being strong, yet you're using your energy up like crazy, well, it's no wonder you're going to get sick. It's no wonder you're going to get addictions. And it could be any kind of addiction. We're just talking about alcohol here a little bit. But alcohol, it makes strong men cowards, because now you're looking at this and it's destroying you. It's making you depressed, anxious. You're not seeing things like they used to. Now you're dependent upon this drug, and alcohol is a drug too. And now you're sitting there saying, okay, I need to have more alcohol. I need this. I don't feel as good. Guys, no different than watching porn or any kind of images we're talking about. No different. I mean, you're still talking about the same idea. And this is what happens. Dopamine levels go up, and you're excited about going out, drinking, having sex, whatever it might be, doing drugs. All these things go together. Why do they go together? Because they all come together because it gives a person a high. Now, think of it this way. Same thing with watching pictures. If you're getting a high the first time you do stuff, what's going to happen the second time? Well, if you do the same amount of work, whether it's, pictures or drugs or alcohol, you're not going to get the same high feeling because you've seen it before. You've done it before. Your body's reacted to it before. Now you have to do more, or you have to do stronger. A stronger looking picture, more intense, or whatever it might be, right? More activity. Or a stronger alcohol drink, right? Or a stronger drug, or more eating, or higher, foods and things like that. Instead of going backwards and like fasting or stopping doing drugs, or stopping doing alcohol, or stopping or doing NoFap, all those things, people take the opposite approach. And they go ahead then and they can't control the ability to say, I need more and more and more. And this is why people get into deviant behavior. And a lot of times they don't even recognize it, thinking it's normal. And we see this a lot, obviously, in the deviant world of imaging and everything else. It starts off by watching pictures, and then they go into trying to do actual behaviors, and then that's not making people happy. So then they go into another form, which is just sick type of stuff, right? And it doesn't matter who they're doing things with, because now they need an extra high. The same thing with alcohol. You need to drink more or stronger alcohol. And now you become addicted to the point of no return. And this is what happens to a lot of people. Same thing with drugs. You just can't do it. This is why, that I believe that you need to be careful of everything you put in your body. I know nowadays you have a lot of, especially in the United States, we have a lot of states that are legalizing, marijuana, things like that. These things are all, in my mind, very dangerous for people because they just can't control it. And all of a sudden, they need more and more and more, and at some point, it's going to affect you. And so putting stuff in your body, to me, that's not a natural type of thing. Now, you could argue, in some ways people argue with marijuana, but once again, it's something that's altering. Anything that alters you is not, to my mind, a good thing. I remember back in the 1960s, I was a little guy growing up, but I remember the stories with all the experiments the colleges used to do, with LSD, and a guy named Timothy Leary, and he's talking about, tune out, or whatever the saying he made was, tune out, do LSD. They used to do LSD drugs experiments on college students and people to see if they were more creative. And a lot of the musicians and artists back then, that people did it. I remember stories with Bob Dylan and other things like that with LSD and hallucinative drugs. And because they needed more and more and more. What happened to a lot of that as they get into the 70s and middle 70s, and they all were dying. There's a few people that obviously still lived, But a lot of the musicians overdose, Morrison and Hendrix and these people, and so what ends up happening is that people get caught up with their own drugs and things they're doing. It's no different with alcohol. And so you've got to really be careful, because what ends up happening is this stuff takes you over, and now you look at life in a depressing way, because now you become dependent on these drugs. And so it's no wonder why suicide, other things come into people's minds, because they feel like there's no hope, because they're stuck in this system of not being able to say no. And we know sex is the same way. We know this. And this is why a lot of people lose their souls when they're younger. They lose their souls, and by the time they're 30, 32, 30, all of a sudden they've hit this wall in their minds, because all of a sudden now they've got no soul, because they've used it, and now they feel like there's no hope, because of the drugs, because of the sex, because of all the alcohol, because of all these behaviors, gambling, and all these things. Guys, you should not have to get highs that way. Now, the reason I say that is because when you get into this pattern, and I've experienced this over the last 555 days now, is you're talking about a natural high, because the stuff you're keeping in your body, you're keeping that retention, you're keeping those seeds. All of a sudden, now you're at full strength, and you need to be at full strength with this type of battle. This is why it's a battle every day. Why is it a battle? Because every day you have this temptation. Every day you have a side of you, and I call it the satanic side of all of us, is it trying to get us into poor behaviors that will destroy us. And you got to stay away from that, and pray and have a strong relationship with your Creator, but also be able to say, no, I'm not going to do these things. I'm going to put things in my body that's going to hurt me. And I believe that, we have a society, we've always had a society where there's people who are at the top of the chain, who basically do not want people to have great lives. I mean, look at all the money that people make when people are sick. All the pharmaceutical companies, all the people who are selling types of things, all these people are making great money, when you're sick, right? Making pills, all kinds of stuff that all have side effects. And so now you're taking 6, 7, 8 pills, and you're taking more pills to counteract those pills. And, or, you could talk about all the kind of stuff we're talking about in the society now. One more of these things to interact with another one. All of a sudden, oh, guys, this is just unbelievable, the amount of money these people make. Now, do we need that stuff? Well, I would argue no. I think most of your own immunity and health comes from within. And you don't need to be able to do all that kind of stuff to be healthy. Anyway, we're back again with another one soon. But the idea, guys, is that be strong and don't fall into the pattern of being addicted to things and trying to get a bigger high. Your high should be coming from the fact that you're retaining and that you're being strong every day. All right, guys, until next time, battle on.